Matchmaker, matchmaker, I'll bring the veil. You bring the groom, slender and pale. Bring me a ring, for I'm longing to be the envy of all I see.
Matchmakers have been around as long as there have been people who want to be in love and get married. And they have been around in every society. And you know what? They're still around. They're just not talked about as much as they used to be. But certainly outside the United States of America, matchmakers still do very, very well because there are still very many families who rely on them to find the best possible match for their young men and women. Well, we want to welcome a modern-day matchmaker. Her name is Christie Nightengale, and her company is called Premier Match. You can find it at premiermatchmaking.com. She considers herself to be a relationship expert, and she is also a media spokesperson on the topics of dating, love, and relationships. Welcome to the Lisa Wexler Show, Christy.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm great. So first of all, you have to tell me, because, you know, I also wrote a book, Secrets of a Jewish Mother, which I guess means I too could consider myself an expert, only if you read the book, you'll see that I don't consider myself an expert. I just say this is my story. How do you consider yourself? What makes you qualified to be a relationship expert, Christy?
Well, you know something, there's a lot of people out there that put this label on that they are relationship experts, but I have to truly say I am a relationship expert because I've been matchmaking. I've had my matchmaking business for over 10 years now, and I work every day in the trenches of the dating world, matching our clients, working on, you know, all of their you know, challenges. Oh my gosh, from the young ones that are in their mid-20s and what goes on dating in that whole realm all the way through their 30s, 40s, 50s, up into higher 60s. So I just think every day being involved in working with these people and trying to help them find love really has allowed me the opportunity to label myself as a relationship expert.
I'm going to open up the phones in case anybody wants to interrupt us and ask their own personal love matchmaking question. Our telephone number is 203-845-3044. 203-845-3044 if you have a question for Christie Nightengale, who is a matchmaker. So, Christy, now, you know, there's the millionaire matchmaker. Matchmakers have come back into the foreground. They're in our consciousness. For a long while they weren't. Tell us a little bit about, because I'd like to know, as a business person, do you do background checks on people that you match up?
Oh, absolutely. Every person that we interview, if we're going to take them on as a client, we do a background check to verify all their information.
You do. So it's sort of like the New York Times when you're announcing you're getting married. They make sure that you are who you say you are, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we first sit down and we're going over profile information, I ask for a driver's license. I ask for, you know, business card. We also ask some other sensitive information questions and such, that we have a person fill out a confidential questionnaire where we can start to conduct a background check just to make sure everything is you know, truthful.
Yeah. Well, I think that's very commendable because there are many matchmaking services that don't, Christy. I expected the answer to be no.
Really?
Yes,
I'm
because
surprised in this day and age that they would just go on face value. I mean, that's really strange. I know that the internet, there's absolutely no way that one can verify and make sure that the information is truthful. But I would think a service, you know, that it's going to take them on as a client, they would make sure that they're working with somebody that they know.
No, I think it's a good idea to do. I have a question for you. Do you typically get more men or women?
Well, the inquiries, we get more women that contact us, but we are very careful as to how many women we take on. So the number within the database stays about even, 50-50.
So would you say that more women than men are seeking you? Is that what you mean? Or
yes,
okay.
I would say that the inquiries are probably somewhere around 65% women to, 35% men. But we have a waiting list with women. We sometimes, you know, will just hold off with a certain age range and then maybe invite them in a bit later when some of the gals that are already on board with us have gotten either into a relationship and are now on hold, or their memberships may have expired.
We're going to go to the phones, Christy, because we already have a couple lined up. So
good.
Let's take Matt, who is calling you with a matchmaking question. Matt, welcome to the Lisa Wexler Show. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Sure.
Actually, I have two quick questions. Being a matchmaker, do you also cater to the gay community as well?
Well, my service, the Premier Match, we only work with the heterosexual crowd. I know there's some services out there that work with the homosexual crowd, but that's a whole different genre, I guess you could say. I'd have to start a whole other database. And,
okay.
I just work with the heterosexuals.
And then do you recommend people, you know how they say, when you're looking for it, you don't find it, and when you're not looking for it, somebody miraculously comes into your life. Do you find that to be true, or do you find that, setting people up and people that are actively looking, what are the biggest mistakes people make?
Well, to answer the first part of what you were saying about, if you are actively seeking at somebody, you'll find love. I think that's what you're saying. I find that if somebody is just enjoying their lives and they're going about it and having fun, that they have a more relaxed way of being, which is a lot more attractive. So the opposite sex is obviously going to be more drawn to them than if they come across really needy and have that air of desperation, which is a total turnoff. So
I agree with that completely.
Matt, thank you very much for the call. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Christie Nightengale, how many of your matches have resulted in marriages?
Oh my God, hundreds. I've been in business now over 10 years. We've had hundreds of marriages.
Any divorces?
I've lost track. I mean, I can't.
No, Christie, any divorces?
Something, I haven't heard of many divorces.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you, when we match our clients up, they end up, they get married and they go on with their lives. Some of the marriages that have come about through our efforts, we find out through third parties, because maybe it was a cousin or a sister or a neighbor that, a year, 2, 3 years later will call and say, oh, by the way, so-and-so married through you. And we'll be like, oh, really? They never
That's so
told
cool.
us. And then we find out about the babies and everything else.
Well, that's so nice. I hope you have them on your wall. I do.
I have an incredible brag wall.
Ah, that's so nice. Well, we like to say, my sister, my mother, and I, and one of our quiz questions, are you a Jewish mother, is, are you a born matchmaker? Because we really consider it to be a big, big mitzvah, big time. Mm-hmm. And I have a rule. I read about this in a magazine years ago, but I really stick to it. If I fix up a couple, I insist that they go on a second date.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I do, too.
You do?
I always encourage a second date, and I even encourage a third date.
Okay.
Because I find that the success of the relationship, if they just allow themselves to go out a second time, they're going to see a whole different side of that person. They're going to be more relaxed, and 80% of those that have taken my advice usually end up dating the person. And this is somebody that might have been on the fence or even considering not even seeing them again. So it works. I mean, it's just a matter of getting people to slow down and have an opportunity to get to know the other party before they just dismiss them and come up with reasons why they're not appropriate. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And what I wanted to ask you about that is, when you have somebody come into your office and they tell you, well, this is what I want, do you then go back with them and say, and sort of probe a little bit? Because a lot of times the person you end up with may not be the person that you thought you wanted when you came in the door.
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't they say that the person you usually end up with is not anything like what you thought you would end up with? I can say that for my own life with my own husband. But, yes. I mean, people come in with their wish lists. I find that some of the criteria that they often ask for is unrealistic. It might even be outdated. What we try to do is to have them tear up the list. I mean, there are certain things on these criteria lists that are important, and I get that. But when it starts to get into all the frivolous little details of he can't be doing this, he can't this, that, and the other, it's telling me that the person has had some pretty bad breakups, and what they're doing is they're generalizing that everybody that might be of a certain type is going to be that way when they've only maybe encountered one or two individuals that were wrong. So what is that going to make the entire populace be wrong? So
do you ever tell people, look, for the kind of person that you see yourself with, you don't match. I think you need to lose some weight, dye your hair. Seriously, because people. I mean, there is a sense of physical attractiveness, a like to like. I mean, it isn't always the case. It isn't always the case, but it's very often. But right, Christie, am I right or wrong? It is very often the case that there's a similar level of general attractiveness. I'm not talking about, has to be model, movie star, but maybe generally well-groomed, generally, of a normal sort of fit, body type. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we sit down with someone and they have their criteria list and we look them in the eye and say, are you kidding? Well, if this is what you want, you don't have the goods to get it.
You do say that, huh?
Yeah. I mean, we are so brutally honest with those that come in, because what we're trying to do is, look, they're hiring us as their matchmaker, right? Because I've got a team of gals that work with me, and we all work together. We match all these clients. We're not going to kill ourselves trying to magic up the perfect man or the perfect woman because they've asked for it. If we don't think we're going to be able to succeed, we're going to be totally honest and tell them, sorry, we're not going to be able to find someone that you desire that fits these, unrealistic criteria. So, and a lot of times, the people sort of, it's hard to swallow, but hey, they've come to us because they need help, right? They're trying to find love. So if we can't come to some sort of neutral ground, then I guess they're going to have to look up an escort service or someone else. Right. Well, I mean, our clients are looking for a long-term relationship in marriage. So, I mean, at the very beginning, they're going to be courteous and try to look at the first date and the second date as being on the high end of courting. I always recommend that the gentleman pay for the first date because, I don't know, we're traditional and I think it's the nice thing to do. Where things go after the third date, and if a woman wants to contribute, that's fine. But does that sort of answer your question?
I think it does.
Okay.
If I went to a matchmaking service and I went out with a guy and he expected me to pay altogether for a second, third, or fourth, I mean, it's funny, but there are ways in which I'm such an egalitarian woman, and there are other ways in which I think I have a little bit more traditional notion of being taken care of, which may not be fair. I mean, I can tell you right now, I have friends that are couples that are probably listening to the show that are outraged and angry with me. I can certainly see both sides. I definitely can. Christie Nightengale, thank you so much. PremierMatchmaking.com. Good luck with it. You're in the mitzvah business. Congratulations to you.